Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Lando for the Mock Draft 3.0, getting ready for the real NFL draft. I've got my boy Mac here with me talking through a full first round mock draft. So let us know what you think, what you like, what you don't like. Comment down below any questions you have. I can't wait for it, Mac. How are you doing on this fine evening?
Doing well, yeah. The NFL draft is at the time of recording 8 days away. If you are listening on audio, welcome. If you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or somewhere else, feel free to get that rating and review, subscribe to the show, make sure we get into your pocket each and every week. For those of you that are on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, welcome in. Glad you guys are joining with us. We've done 2 iterations of the mock draft so far, NFL mock draft, that is, and we're going to try our hand at it again tonight. Looking back at last year's mock drafts, we hit on a couple good spots. Travis Etienne at 25 was an absolute bullseye.
Oh, yeah.
We hit a couple and we missed a lot. So we're like trying to walk through this process as logically as possible, but it is almost impossible to get this all right. But we're going to try to justify each and every pick. Before we do so, if you guys are on YouTube, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. Really, really appreciate your guys' support. I think before we do the mock draft, though, Lando, we should talk about some fantasy news. The first one being Deebo Samuel. I mean, yeah, we talked pre-show a lot about Deebo Samuel, and I don't know what to make of this whole situation. It's kind of crazy.
I'm not sure what to make either. We talked at length about Deebo and what to do with him going forward. What are the 49ers going to do? They came out and said that they do not want to trade him, but he has come out and requested a trade. He's not happy with the organization, doesn't want to be a 49er anymore. We're not sure why. I've heard rumors and seen on social media that it's about his usage. I mean, it makes sense. He's a star wide receiver. He doesn't want to be used as a running back. I get that. But you know what? Deebo Samuel is an absolute stud if he's healthy, and they should fetch a good price for him on the open market if he is traded, right?
If he's traded. It's a weird dynamic right now, and I don't know if players are necessarily going about things the right way. I mean, I understand that they want to get the bag, especially after the season he had. They want some security going forward. I just don't know if that's the best move to try to leverage your team, force your way out, basically just force them into a trade. They could make Deebo sit on this contract, the end of his rookie contract. They could just fine him and go on their way. That's probably not the most amicable thing, but the way he's taking it is not amicable. So I don't know what to make of it. But we did talk today about potential landing spot for Deebo and where he might go from a fantasy perspective that would be enticing. I don't know that there's many places he could go that would help him maintain his fantasy value or even improve upon last year's. Do you agree with that sentiment, or you feel differently?
Yeah, there's very few spots. I mean, if he does not want to be used as a running back next year, his value is going to go down. He had 8 rushing touchdowns and almost 60 rushing attempts last year. So that
59.
was 59. Yeah, that was incredibly good usage. He was an absolute fantasy stud. So for fantasy next year, it's hard to project him for that kind of touchdown potential and having 120 targets. Now, if he went to someplace like the Packers, like even Kansas City, we talked about a little bit off air, he could get those kind of targets, but he's not going to have those kind of touchdowns and rushing attempts.
It's always a sticky stat to project. Like Deebo Samuel, I just don't feel the safety, and especially if he changes teams. But like a guy like Cooper Kupp, I think you can make the argument for him to be the wide receiver 1, because even if he were to regress significantly from what he did last year, he's still in the conversation for wide receiver 1.
And well,
Deebo Samuel, not the same
behind him, because we have Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill changing teams.
Mhm.
So Cooper Kupp should easily be the wide receiver one with the relationship he already has with Matt Stafford. Even like you said, he regresses and doesn't break records in the NFL. He still could be that wide receiver one pretty easily.
Jamar Chase doesn't take that year 2 step forward if Justin
Right.
Jefferson doesn't return a third unbelievable season. I mean,
Excellent
there's a
point.
potential he could regress significantly and still be the one. I don't feel the same way about Debo, especially if he's not playing for the 49ers. So if you hold Debo right now, I mean, I said it to a couple people in the Discord. I'm selling. Like, I think you fetch high price for a guy who had an unbelievable campaign, but a pretty crazy share of the workload. He had 27% of the targets, I think it was, and 59 touches on the ground. That's a lot of the receiving game and of the rushing game that he had a share of, and I don't know that moving forward it continues. And then the other thing is this guy has an injury history. Now, I did say if Deebo Samuel has a healthy season, stays on the field, and is productive, I will absolutely honor that and bump him up in my rankings. And I've done that, but I still don't feel great, especially given this situation. But
yeah,
it's
he was the
very
kind of guy you
interesting.
wanted to seed from first, and he showed you. It's just
He
the
did.
unfortunate part is now going into his fourth year, he has question marks. He has what team he's going to go to next year. If he stays with the 49ers, is he going to stick? Is he going to have that built-in relationship with Trey Lance? It's very difficult to say. Seems unlikely,
Right.
but there's a lot of question marks surrounding Debo. So let us know in the comments what you're doing with Debo, what kind of trades you have involving Debo. If you're trying to trade for him, trade him away. Let us know. We answer every single question in the comments. So if you don't catch us live, you can still get some fantasy advice.
Before we move on, a happy birthday to Snap Army member Chris Timmons. Chris, thanks so much for being a part of what we've got going on here. You're a big part of our community, and we wish you a huge and awesome happy birthday.
Happy birthday. We do a live draft show on the NFL draft. So the first round, we go live for it. So if you're tuning into this mock draft, make sure to come to the real one where Mac and I react to the picks as they come. It's a ton of fun. You get to hang out with us for 3 hours live on the show. We talk and interact with everyone here. So if you're watching this, make sure to turn on those notifications so you know when we go live. But we will be definitely live for the NFL draft. It's a ton of fun. A couple years ago, Max shut that stream down when the Packers drafted Jordan Love, and it was a great scene for us as a podcast. And I hope something crazy happens this year too.
We're really getting our money's worth on that one.
We'll never let that go, Mac.
It's fine. Yeah. I guess we can, now that we're on the Packers, we can talk about Sammy Watkins, former number 4 overall pick. Sammy Watkins joining the Green Bay Packers. It's crazy. This news flew under my radar for almost a week.
As it should. He's really not newsworthy, let's be honest.
Landon casually asked me a question. He's like, Mac, what do you think? Who would you rather have, Alan Lazard or Sammy Watkins? Alluding to the fact that Sammy Watkins had just signed, and I had no idea. And I just said, oh, Sammy Watkins is trash. And now that he dons the green and gold, my feelings have not changed in the slightest. I still think he's washed, and I hope this isn't our answer to the wide receiving position, but no, I'm not excited. If you were wondering, it ain't it.
Who gets the most targets on the Green Bay Packers as it stands right now?
I hope Chris Olave.
No, that's not an answer.
Can I just go Aaron Jones?
There it is. That was the cheat code.
Please. That's what we need. Anyways, let's get to the mock draft. If you guys have any questions for us, leave them in the comments, but we're going to jump right into this mock draft. The entire first round, it's going to be a defensively dominated draft. It's not going to be like years past where we're going to see, a tight end go at 4 and wide receivers go at 5 and 6 and 10. It's just not going to happen this year, unfortunately, but there are some pieces to stop and talk about along the way. Picks, What do we got here? 1 through 32. So I just realized I got to go back and clear the board and get the board up for you guys to see. So, Lando, I'll kick it over to you. You walk us through the number 1 pick in the draft.
For back-to-back years, the Jaguars have the first pick, and they have a chance to hopefully draft the next Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa, whatever you want to say. Aiden Hutchinson, edge rusher out of Michigan, seems to be the consensus 101 as it stands right now. We could see a random, a off the board pick, but I think this is a very safe pick for the Jaguars, and I think this is a good pick for them. You win in the trenches. We've talked about this before. You get pressure on the quarterback. Aiden Hutchinson provides everything they need. He had a really great year this past year, and he's put himself in front here, Mac.
100%. And like his ability to get to the quarterback, especially like the moment he gets free, his closing speed is elite. You brought up the Bosa brothers. Don't know if he's there in terms of a prospect, but he's probably not far off. And I think that this is, we've done 3 mock drafts now, and Aiden Hutchinson has been our number 1 each and every time. I think it's as chalky as it gets. And I don't think the Jags stray away here.
If you were the Jags, you would make this pick?
I would.
I think they should go with Evan Neal myself. I think he's the best offensive tackle. If I was the Jaguars, I would go Neal, but we think they're going to go Hutchinson, and that seems to be consensus.
Why do you think that they would go with Neal?
I think just because they're trying to build around their quarterback. And number one is Trevor Lawrence got sacked and was under pressure a ton this year. So I think that's the best way to help him out is getting an elite offensive tackle.
Interesting. I'm just looking. They didn't grab one in free agency. So yeah, I mean, they addressed the wide receiver position. That's definitely a need for them.
That should help them for sure.
Absolutely should help Trevor Lawrence. Couple more bodies to throw to, but okay. Evan Neal maybe makes some sense. Number 2, we've got the Detroit Lions, and we're gonna go with Kayvon Thibodeau. Kayvon Thibodeau at number 2 to the Lions. I mean, what can you really say wrong about him? Another really good edge defender, 6'5", 258, super long and explosive. Solid prospect. I know that some people like Trayvon Walker over Kayvon Thibodeau. I think he's a better fit for the Lions. I believe he can play interior and on the edge. So he has a little bit of dynamic sort of flexibility to him as well. So
some versatility. His metrics are off the chart. He ran a 4.58 40. He's a 94th percentile or 91st percentile speed score. He's big, 6'4", 256. He is a massive dude. I think this is the most athletic edge defender. I think he's got a huge ceiling. I think not too many people have him this high, but I really like this pick for the Lions. I hope the Lions fans agree.
Yeah, hopefully. I think Trayvon Walker's probably a tad more versatile. But I'm going with Thibodeau here.
Love it. Next, the Texans. Again, they have a ton of needs here, but I do believe they go with edge again. So we're going edge off the get-go. Trayvon Walker, edge defender. I think he's this guy out of Georgia. I think he's just an all-around really good player. 6'5", 270, big boy. I think he could probably play at that size. He could play interior as well, but I think this is a good pick for the Texans. I hope they don't screw it up. They could trade back, but I think this is a very solid pick for the Texans as well.
The one thing that people talk about with Trayvon Walker and why I say he has a little bit more versatility than Kayvon Thibodeau, not necessarily in the ability to match him up and down the line, but you saw a lot in Georgia with their scheme. They dropped Trayvon Walker back into coverage, and he was just disruptive. I think that's the best word to describe his play as. He's super physical, but he has the ability to play up and back. And so I think when you look at Houston, who need a multitude of things offensively and defensively, you need a player that has some versatility. I think Trayvon Walker fits the mold for them.
So, Eric in our chat, one of Snap Army members, welcome in, Eric. He mentioned the Lions maybe taking a quarterback this early. Now, why aren't
Right.
we going quarterback early? Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, all these guys have lots of buzz, and the Lions need a quarterback. Why didn't they go that way?
It's funny, we talked about this off air. We were like, look, because going through this mock draft, we said, is there a potential that the Lions do take somebody at 2 or wait until 32? And we've played with both. In our first mock draft, I had them taking Matt Corral at 32. I don't know that the Lions love somebody enough in this class. And really, if we're thinking about it, are the Lions ready to win this year and compete? No. Is next year the year to get a quarterback?
Yes.
Yes. And it's like the question here of like, there's some really elite defensive players in this draft. There's some really solid wide receivers. Are those talents and an unbelievable safety and 2 solid corners, are those players pushing the quarterback talent down the board because the position is pretty weak and other positions are pretty strong? I think that's probably what we see. Maybe at 32, they have the choice of somebody they would be interested in. I don't know, but I know at 2, you're paying whoever you pick a little bit more money than you would later in the draft. And the Lions have Jared Goff under contract until 2024. I think as of 2025, he becomes an unrestricted free agent. I would definitely think that they would move on quarterback next year as opposed to this year.
I agree. I think great question. It would be a lot of fun if they did that in the real draft. We'd
Sure.
have great reactions to it and pour one out for the Lions, but this is the right way to do it. This mock is going to be a mix of what we would do, what they should do, and what we think they'll do. I mean, it's so I think it's a good mix so far.
Number 4, we got the Jets taking your boy Evan Neal, who you believe should be potentially the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Evan Neal. Again, this is where a team wants to protect their franchise quarterback, and the Jets get to do that with Zach Wilson drafting Evan Neal. I think this is super solid. This will be a bump for everyone on the Jets. Michael Carter, Elijah Moore, and Zach Wilson.
And you want to talk about a guy who is just massive, 6'7", 350 pounds out of Alabama. I mean, guy played SEC football, one of the biggest talented guys in the class. It probably doesn't get better than Evan Neal at offensive tackle. And if the Jets want to move forward with Zach Wilson in one piece, they bring a guy like Evan Neal in to fill that void, offer some more protection. I like the pick.
Yeah, love it.
Number 5, we've got Equanu for the Giants. The Giants have picks at 5 and 7. They also need some help on their offensive line. I think Equanu rates very high, just like Evan Neal. Some have him ahead of Neal. It's really, I think, a little bit of a coin flip depending on what you value and what the team needs are. Daniel Jones need help, and so does Saquon Barkley. Bringing in either Neal or Equanu should be on the high priority of their list for draft needs. So I definitely think that the Giants have to go tackle here this early in the draft, given that Neal or Equanu will be available.
And don't worry, everyone. We will get to offensive players eventually, but this is the reality of what the NFL draft is going to be. A lot of edge and offensive tackle to start the draft. But these are some really good players. So if you are fans of the Giants, the Jets, the Panthers, you are kind of hoping to get these elite players in the trenches.
Kyle Paz says, I think that the Giants are more interested in Cross than Neal and Icky. I haven't heard that. I haven't read that anywhere, but it's possible. I know Charles Cross is lower on a lot of people's rankings than Neal and Equanu.
Yeah, it's interesting because, Paz, we have Cross going next to the Panthers. We do not have them taking Kenny Pickett, at number 6, we went with the route of offensive tackle because, I mean, you said it. People are high on Charles Cross. Keep going with these linemen early and often, and this is the way I think it's going to work out.
Yeah, I mean, I said in our second mock, I wouldn't be surprised if this draft opens up edge, 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 and then we see tackle, tackle, tackle. So I again, any mix in this order, I wouldn't be shocked to see. But a skill position player, I don't think is going to go in the top 6. Kenny Pickett or some type of quarterback to the Panthers at 6 is possible, but we're going to pretend in this scenario that they landed Baker Mayfield just before the draft.
One of our Kyle Pass says, stay away from my Giants receivers. Do the Giants go with receiver or positional player at 7, Mac?
No, they don't. They go Jermaine Johnson, edge position.
Florida State.
Yeah, and actually, Jermaine Johnson played at Georgia. He was on that big defensive line and decided to transfer out and bet on himself and had a monstrous season at Florida State. So Jermaine Johnson, I think, is lower on a lot of people's boards, but I do think he will land here at 7 with the Giants. And if the Giants make out with a big piece in Equanu, or like Kyle's maybe saying, Charles Cross, if they make out with a big tackle and a big edge piece, that's a huge boost to the offensive and defensive line. I think that's a solid pickup for them.
All right, guys. Finally, we have an offensive player, and we went Garrett Wilson, wide receiver out of Ohio State, the number 1 wide receiver off the board. This is too good to be true after pretty much losing everyone for the Atlanta Falcons. Calvin Ridley being suspended for a year, Matt Ryan gone. They're going to build around an absolute stud wide receiver. I am a big fan of Garrett Wilson. He's 6 foot, junior out of Ohio State, 183 pounds. I'm a big fan of Wilson. I think they finally get their replacement number 1 for this year. Who knows what happens to Calvin Ridley in the future, but I think this would be exciting for the Falcon or the Falcons to build around Kyle Pitts and Garrett Wilson.
And like I've said, Garrett Wilson, I think, is a very polished and safe product. He kind of reminds me a little bit of, like, he offers a lot of what Calvin Ridley does. So I think as a tandem, they would be quite dynamic. His play style kind of reminds me a little bit of, I've seen people say Stephon Diggs. That I mean, I could get that, but he breaks really well. He doesn't have necessarily like elite speed, but he creates separation through change of direction. He's really, really nice in his route running polish, really good hands. Like I said, super safe, ready to play. I think he makes an impact day 1, and that's what that's what the Falcons need. So
apparently the 49ers need a wide receiver 1 too.
They might very soon. Yeah.
So do you think this is good for Garrett Wilson? Do you like this for fantasy purposes with Marcus Mariota behind center?
It's tough to say. We haven't seen Marcus Mariota be a starting quarterback for several years. However, in relief duties, he's been somewhat impressive, I guess I should say. Yeah, definitely serviceable. And like when you look at Matt Ryan getting older, losing some mobility, losing some arm strength, they're very limited. At least Marcus Mariota can extend plays, get outside the pocket, and allow someone like Garrett Wilson and Kyle Pitts to scramble, find open holes, and make plays for themselves. So I do like Garrett Wilson finding a spot in this offense, even though it's not the highest powered offense, the most volume. I think they'll be all right.
Yep.
So we got to 9, and we haven't really done anything fun with Seattle yet. And just addressing the elephant in the room with Drew Lock and not really getting anybody else there, I don't necessarily know that they roll forward with Drew Lock. So we have Malik Willis going in to just replace that Russell Wilson style role at 9. We're going Malik Willis, and that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Geno Smith ain't it. We know that the contract just went through for Geno. So I think this would be a lot of fun for Seattle fans. They do need to rebuild, and we know that Malik Willis is a project quarterback. He's a year away from being a feasible starter, and they can work their way around Drew Lock and Geno Smith for year one. Maybe get Malik Willis some um, late season play, or throw him in the fire right away. They've got DK Metcalf and Lockett still, so for a young quarterback to have those two elite wide receivers to start would be huge for a guy like Willis. It's tough to follow Russell Wilson as a franchise quarterback, but I think this would be a lot of fun for Malik Willis. Like I've said, he has a big ceiling. He has a ton of arm strength, a ton of mobility, and I think he will be the number one quarterback off the board in this year's draft.
Comes to the Jets again at 10, and we debated back and forth who the Jets should take. And Kyle Paz has made a comment here on their YouTube chat. I'm surprised you guys haven't taken Ahmad Gardner yet. He was debated heavily alongside with Kyle Hamilton here. Ultimately, I kind of swayed Landon into taking Kyle Hamilton. And I know you guys are like, why? Why would you take a safety? Kyle Hamilton's not like every other safety. Notre Dame, junior, safety, 6'4", outrageously athletic, tracks the ball really, really well, closes space fast, is physical. This guy is a perfect fit for Robert Saleh's defense. And if you look how Marcus May left the team this year, there's a big hole in that defense for the need at safety. I think they prioritize safety over corner here. So I'm going to go with Kyle Hamilton instead of Sauce Gardner.
All right. The Washington Commanders are up next, and your boy Ahmad Gardner is next out of Cincinnati, the first cornerback off the board. This is a phenomenal value for the Washington football team, however you want to call them. Super athletic, 6'3", 190 cornerback out of Cincinnati. Had a great junior season. Really good value for Washington, and they would be thrilled to land Gardner at 11. I think he's a top talent in this draft. So this is really good value for Washington.
Do you want to talk about your former Minnesota Vikings?
Yeah. I considered going quarterback here for Minnesota. They were looking at Justin Fields last year. They would have taken him.
Come on.
Quarterback. Yeah. They would have taken him if they weren't jumped by the Bears, but there's no quarterback right now that is worth the pick, and they just re-signed Kirk Cousins to a deal, so they're still going to ride the coattails of Cousins. Yep. So their biggest need right now is on the defensive side, and it's run defense. And up the middle, Devontae Wyatt out of Georgia, interior defensive lineman, is the guy. 307 pounds, 6'3", senior. He's a beast. He can break up plays. He could get some pressure on the quarterback if they need it, but they need that help up the middle. Devontae Wyatt is the guy for the Minnesota Vikings here.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, if somehow Ahmad Gardner falls, I could definitely see them taking a corner. That's probably a more pressing need.
Yeah.
I could also see them taking Stingley instead of Wyatt. Either one of those choices is somewhere I could see them going. But there's your first 12 picks. Again, only 2 offensive players, Garrett Wilson at 8, Malik Willis at 9. Let us know in the comments here, what do you guys think about the Seattle Seahawks going out and taking somebody like Malik Willis? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What do you think?
Eric brings up a great point, and we thought about the Detroit Lions teams trading back for other teams wanting to get a quarterback, but everyone knows that this quarterback class is not strong. No. Any of these guys last year, the Zach Wilsons, Mac Jones, they would be the quarterback one pretty easily. And they weren't even close last year. No. Heck, Davis Mills might be the quarterback one in this year's class. So It's no secret that this quarterback class has not been getting a lot of praise. So teams are willing to wait a year and not willing to really move up to get one of these guys. Uh, the Lions wouldn't get fair trade value to trade away that number 2 pick because people know that they could just wait on quarterback. If they like a Kenny Pickett, a Matt Corral, they'll just wait on them. And if they get them, great. If they don't, they'll wait till next year.
Yeah, it's a good point. It really is. And it's no surprise there's a bit of a quarterback shortage, and there's probably only 1 or 2 of these guys that could play this year. I mean, I don't even know if Malik Willis is ready for this year. He's a little bit of a project quarterback. Kenny Pickett to me seems like the one who's most readily available to play in the NFL game. But other people disagree. They think it's Sam Howell. They think it's Matt Corral. Like the opinions are all over the place, which kind of leads you to think this is a potentially weaker class than we foresee.
One of these guys could easily break out. I could see it happening. Which one is a very difficult thing to do. The NFL has a hard time getting it right on quarterback. So never mind us fantasy guys. We do a good job knowing who to sit and start. It's hard to figure out which of these prospects are going to be elite real life fantasy quarterbacks.
Picks 13 through 24. At 13, we went with Derek Stingley Jr., cornerback out of LSU.
At number 14, we have Jordan Davis, interior lineman out of Georgia, going to the Baltimore Ravens, getting that defense stocked up as well.
And I'll give you one more here. Drake London to the Eagles at 15. This is one piece that stuck. From last draft to this draft, one piece that stuck. Do you like Drake London here? I mean, obviously.
I mean, I think you also have to pour one out for Drake London. He's on one of the least efficient, least passing heavy offenses in the league. He would be a great option for Jalen Hurts, but his fantasy value has to drop. And if you have one of those mid-round picks and you see Garrett Wilson going to the Falcons and Drake London going to the Eagles, you're not going to be thrilled with them. They're not. It's not a locked and loaded Jamar Chase scenario, unfortunately.
Unfortunately is correct. This pick here, the next one, number 16. Man, we struggle with this one. And I think if this is the way that the draft unfolds, I don't know that the Saints will have the what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know if they'll have the composure to stay away from Kenny Pickett. I think if he's available, yeah, they've got 2 years left with Jameis, but that's a deal that could, easily be dropped, be cut.
They can get that deal probably.
You've seen sort of the contract situation with Taysom Hill sort of crumble. They had a massive thing in place with incentives, and then it's kind of fallen apart. I could see if Kenny Pickett's available, them going out and getting him at 16. So Kenny Pickett to the Saints. I know people feel differently about him. Again, I think he's probably the most NFL ready. I think he's got good size. He's athletic. We've seen him be very mobile, use his legs. We've seen him be accurate, push the ball downfield with some proficiency. And a lot of people bring up that his hand size is very small. Actually, I read earlier this week on Twitter that he has the smallest recorded hand size outside of Michael Vick. Michael Vick was the smallest hand size. Joe Burrow also was criticized for having small hands, and that man just had a fantastic season, got to the Super Bowl. So I don't really put any weight into those criticism. I've liked what I've seen from him. I think he has a great arm. I think his ball placement is pretty good. I think he has good velocity on the ball. I think Kenny Pickett with the Saints would be fun.
The only thing I could think of when I see Kenny Pickett is small. I picture small hands. When I read that name, I see baby hands. I don't know how he throws the ball down the field with baby hands. I don't get it.
You'll see.
I'll see.
We are going to, at 17, Trevor Penning, offensive tackle. I've made the the change. He is not an edge defender. He is an offensive tackle. Trevor Penning to the Chargers makes a lot of sense for what they want to do.
The rich get richer
ground.
in that scenario. The Chargers don't need anything. They've got a phenomenal team, and this is a great pick. This is a luxury pick for the Chargers.
It is. And we debated, not to spoil anything, but we had a wide receiver going to the Saints as well. And after they did that trade with the Eagles to grab the 19th pick, the 16th pick, they already had the 19th, the 16th pick. We figured, why would the Saints potentially make that trade to move up in the draft and grab one from the Eagles? And it might be potentially to grab a skill position player like Kenny Pickett. It might be somebody to, grab a certain wide receiver they have their eyes on. And we just thought, if Kenny Pickett continues to fall, somebody might trade up and grab him. And
it's possible that they could trade 16 and 19 to get a Kenny Pickett if the rumblings are that Kenny Pickett's going to go early. It's possible that they package those two picks.
Clearly,
obviously, they don't have to in our scenario, and he just falls to them at 16.
Clearly, they have their eye on somebody, and we just thought, hey, it might be Kenny Pickett. But you're right; they could be leveraging those two picks to do something even further. I don't know if there's anybody in that class that's worthy of that, but Kenny Pickett would make a lot of sense. Trevor Penning makes a lot of sense for the Chargers. Like Landon said, very complete team, but could use some more offensive line help for Herbert and
who doesn't
Eckler.
Need offensive line help?
Right. And then the Eagles at 18, George Karlaftis. They grab this pick from the Saints. The Saints have the 19th and the 16th. The Eagles now have the 15th and the 18th. The Eagles did have 15, 16, 19. Now those picks are essentially changed, but George Karlaftis, like last mock, does land with the Eagles at 18.
It's hard to keep track of all these trades, but I think this is a good pick for the Eagles. Pressure on the quarterback. They need to get that back. And I think he's a good pick out of Purdue.
It's just a trade for me that's weird. I don't know why they would execute that trade now as opposed to during the draft. I feel like that just gives you more flexibility to really see how the board unfolds itself. But that's definitely a little tip there, is that if you guys are in a fantasy mock draft and you have the idea of potentially trading back if somebody isn't on the board that you wanted, make sure you do that in draft. Make sure you clear it with your commissioner. Say, hey, if I want to make a trade mid-draft, can you pause the draft? Can I have that going? Maybe have something in the works and then, pull the trigger on it during the draft. But I would always advocate for doing it during the draft. You get a sense of how the draft is unfolding. And if you make that decision pre-draft, you don't have the same flexibility to react to the draft. So that's definitely something I would say.
Love that. Next we have also, one of my other favorite wide receivers. These wide receivers it's a good class for wide receiver. I don't think there's going to be a bad wide receiver class. It seems like all these guys are so pro ready, and going to a team that we had a quarterback taking the first time. Now we're going with Jameson Williams, wide receiver out of Alabama. He was having a phenomenal year until he tore his ACL. Reports are saying that he is ahead of schedule. I'm not sure how early he gets to play, but I really like Jameson Williams for the future of the Saints when they move on from Michael Thomas and company and move forward with Kenny Pickett and Jameson Williams. This is how to do it right, I think, especially if you need these kind of pieces. You have some franchise pieces to work around, and your future is settled here with Pickett and Williams.
Yeah, it's and when you said, all right, look, let's just go Jameson Williams to the Saints, I think I really wanted to disagree so that I could shift him down the board towards Green Bay, because that's really where I want this guy to land, on a little bit of a discount with him tearing his ACL in the national championship. I was hoping that this injury could make him slide. I don't think that's going to be the case, because there's an argument to be made that Jameson Williams is the best wide receiver in this class. He's athletic. He's explosive. He stretches the field. He's probably the fastest wide receiver at top speed in this class. He gets in and out of routes really well, creates separation. The only thing that you could knock him for is he's been a little bit inconsistent with his catchable targets. But that's something that can be cleaned up. Give it some time. I mean, even a guy like Jamar Chase struggled with catching the ball in preseason, and look how that season turned out. I think Jameson Williams offers a lot. Him being with the Saints, I think, would be very interesting. We've seen them try to go downfield a lot. Jameis Winston not afraid to throw the deep ball. We've seen them try to do it with Marquez Callaway, with Traquan Smith, with Deontay Harris. I think Jameson Williams is better than all three of those guys combined, and would offer a lot of downfield field stretching ability. So,
yeah, great pick. As for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they need offensive linemen more than anything, and Zion Johnson out of Boston College is the best available interior offensive lineman. Yeah, they need it bad. They need this. They need to protect whoever is behind center for the Steelers, and they need to help their running back get some holes, because it's been a bad scene for the Steelers. So I think this is a need pick, and all the other good players are dried up at offensive lineman. At 20, you have to go with best player available there. So that's where we're going.
We originally, in our first mock draft, had Malik Willis falling to the Steelers. I think he's another quarterback that fits the scheme in Pittsburgh, but based on recent information and current odds on favorite, Malik Willis is currently the number one quarterback odds on favorite. I think it's plus 550 to go, and I don't think he's available at 20. I think if the Steelers potentially want a guy like Malik Willis, they're going to have to package and trade up to do so, and I just can't see them doing that at this point in time. Mike Ortiz from YouTube asked a question: any chance of a rookie mock draft using Sleeper? We love Sleeper. That's what our go-to platform is. We definitely will be doing some rookie mock drafts after the NFL draft. We're so close now that doesn't make sense to do another one. But Mike, feel free to watch out on YouTube for our streams. We'll definitely have some stuff, and then if you join our Discord, we'll be able to give you the link to those, because that's where we share them to our Discord first. So Discord is in the episode description, and you guys can jump on over there and get into those mock drafts.
Yeah. It's lots of mock drafts coming up. Again, like I mentioned earlier, we do a live NFL draft. So make sure to tune into the Snap Boys for the real life NFL draft, where we will sit here for 3 hours talking about the picks as they come up. We will be doing live drafts we will be doing mock drafts as well throughout the off season. And a rookie draft sounds like a great idea. We'll do super flex. We can do regular leagues. We'll do anything you guys want. It'll be a fun off season of mock drafting.
Ayo Will says, excited to see you guys have Dallas taking. You are going to be very excited, Will. So stay tuned. That one's coming up in 4 picks. Dev, glad to have you with us. Let's jump back into the rest of the mock.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
So at 21, we have the Patriots taking Tyler Linderbaum, center. A very, very versatile and complete center. This guy just has Patriots written all over him. No one wants to sit and talk about center, but I think this is a pick that the Patriots do make. On to 22. I'm gonna take this one. You guys have heard me talk about Chris Olave before. Just similar to Garrett Wilson, super solid, really complete wide receiver, offers a lot of polish and impact. He's going to make an impact right away. All he has to do is get the trust of Aaron Rodgers. But like Landon has said in the past, yes, Aaron Rodgers doesn't give that trust out to rookies, but this might be the year where we have to break those barriers and trust somebody in year 0, because he might not have another choice. If all you're throwing at is old Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, and a washed Sammy Watkins, I think we have to look elsewhere. And I think the Packers, if this is the way the board presents itself, Chris Olave at 22 is going to be really, really nice for Green Bay.
Very good route runner. Is going to be where he's supposed to be, and that's what Aaron Rodgers needs.
Yes.
At what pick are we at? We
23.
have 23 for the Cardinals. We have Andrew Booth, a junior cornerback out of Clemson. They need defensive help, and I think this is a great value for Andrew Booth. I think taking him so late. I could see him going earlier than this in the draft. This is just how the pieces fell here, and this will be great for the Cardinals going forward.
Eric says Olave to Green Bay. I love it. Wow.
Hey.
Got to get those puns in.
Those dad jokes in here.
And I will shut this stream down. Dev also says, wonder who the Colts took in the first round. Oh wait.
They don't have a first round pick. Sorry, Colts.
Dev. Okay, the Dallas Cowboys at 24. We talked about this one, and we went back and forth, and Landon ultimately talked me in to who the Dallas Cowboys would be taking. I'll tell you what, I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but we know that Jerry Jones has an affinity for wide receiver. Big-bodied wide receiver.
There it is.
They just lost Amari Cooper, who serves to play this role really, really well. I'm going to hand it over to you, Landon. Who are the Dallas Cowboys selecting?
Trey Burke.
Oh, my goodness.
A guy. I love Trey Burke. He is raw. He is athletic. The 6'2", 225, has all the potential in the world. Deebo Samuel, A.J. Brown, this tackle-breaking machine. I would love this for the Cowboys, and it would just be so typical of their offense of just getting better and better. The rich get richer in this scenario. Another weapon for Dak Prescott. This would be the perfect Jerry Jones pick. He makes this. He is the GM, owner, and the decision maker. Treylon Burks would be so much fun.
And just such a different player than Michael Gallup and CeeDee Lamb. I mean, this guy offers exactly what Amari Cooper did at lesser price as well. You get a little bit more youth. You rejuvenate this wide receiving room. Treylon Burks, like we said, is very raw, but you get the ball in his hands, he's going to bulldoze people. And I mean, the more that I think about this, the more I really, really like it.
So here's a good question. This is Treylon Burks of Arkansas, AO. If the draft fell this way, how would you rank these wide receivers in a rookie draft? Does Treylon Burks go first because of that juicy landing spot?
No, definitely not. I mean, it'd be hard to stay away from, even though I definitely don't think it is the play. In your fantasy drafts, it'd be hard to get away from Chris Olave to Green Bay, given his potential target share with all the vacated targets that Devontae Adams had. And Sammy Watkins isn't going to come in and gobble those up. So somebody like Chris Olave would be very intriguing. Drake London, I would probably fade just a hair. Jameson Williams would be up there. And I think Garrett Wilson is pretty safe wherever he goes. So I think I would rank them Wilson, Olave, Williams, Burks, London.
Interesting. All right.
Sorry, Burks ahead of Williams.
Yeah, just because
Wilson, Olave, Burks, Williams, and London. I would be a little bit down on Wilson if he did go to the Eagles.
Love it. Hopefully you like that pick. I really like this pick. I think
I do too.
He would have the potential to climb up draft boards if this is the way it fell. But and we'll see.
Honestly, not one that I've seen before. Watching any other type of mock drafts or reading other people in the industry's articles, I haven't seen a Treylon Burks mocked to the Cowboys. So we just know how Jerry is. If one of his guys is on the board, he's going to take him. You just know it's going to happen.
I would love if we got this right somehow.
That'd be hilarious. All right, we're on to the back half here. 8 more picks. We've got the Buffalo Bills taking Trent McDuffie. I think that they are in dire need of a corner. We did play around with Breece Hall landing here. I just don't know that Breece Hall goes in the first round. I don't know that any running back will. And Breece Hall, in my opinion, is the best by far of the bunch, better than Kenneth Walker, much better than Isaiah Spiller. I just don't think that he goes in the first round. They address their corner need, and that's with Trent McDuffie.
Next we have the Tennessee Titans going Devin Lloyd, linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
And they already had a good defense, but this linebacker out of Utah, 6'3", 237. He's a senior. I think this would be just a good solid pick. First linebacker off the board, I believe, and they get a good one.
Mike seems to think that the Raiders and McDaniels are trying to put something together, package something to trade up and take Jameson Williams. What would you feel, or how would you feel if Jameson Williams was in black and silver?
I would hate that. I would hate that. I mean, they have Devontae Adams, still Darren Waller.
Hunter Renfrow.
They don't need Jameson Williams. Now, he would be a...
That's not true. That's not true. You think about what they've wanted to do in this offense and where they've found success. It's when they've had a field stretcher. And Jameson Williams is truly one of the best, if not the best, in this class for stretching the field. Think about it. Henry Ruggs, they played around with, give me his name, Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of.
They've
such a short stint in
yes,
LA,
he's had a short
Vegas.
Stint with everybody.
Yeah.
But they've found some success downfield. Derek Carr is actually a pretty good, accurate, deep ball thrower. So Jameson Williams would be interesting. I just don't know that they'd be willing to package any more to go up and get that. But they already lost their first and their second for Devontae. We'll see. That would be really interesting, Mike. I would love to follow that.
Yeah, I mean, Renfro's no slouch too, but unfortunately he's going to get cannibalized by the Devontae Adams target. So tough look for Renfro this year.
Kenyon Green, interior offensive lineman to the Bucks. We had this one last time, and we've got it again. At this point, it's like best player available kind of situation, which I think Kenyon Green would be for the Bucks. Makes sense with their need and strength of player. I think this is where they go.
Yeah, your Green Bay Packers, David Ojabo, edge defender.
Yeah, Ojabo.
Yeah. Again, best. I mean, they lost a solid defender this past year to the Vikings, so I think they still need some help on the defensive lineman. Ojabo is a solid pick for the Packers.
And I think David Ajabo's bordering on sleeper territory here. I think he would have gone much, much higher playing alongside Aiden Hutchinson, but he did tear his Achilles. So 2022 season was much shorter, but we have to look back to some earlier tape. He's got a ton of power, an outstanding finisher. Like, this guy gets on and attacks the quarterback and was, a huge reason as to why Michigan was so successful defensively. So I like Ojabo here. I think he will fit the Zadarius Smith role. They lost Zadarius Smith in free agency, so I think Ojabo makes a lot of sense here. I would be thrilled if we walked away with Olave and Ojabo here.
Absolutely. We have the Chiefs up next. They have back-to-back picks. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded both of these picks to move up because they are in need of a wide receiver. We have them going, Boy Maffey, edge out of Minnesota at 29, and then Christian Watson, the guy we picked last time, the speedster, 6'4" speedster, running a 4.36 out of North Dakota State. Maybe this is the guy that AO was thinking of. But super fast, super athletic. He will be that Tyreek Hill replacement. Nobody is Tyreek Hill, but it makes sense to me that they go back to back here with these picks. but I wouldn't be surprised if they use them both to move up for a Treylon Burks type or Jameson Williams type wide receiver.
I mean, we talked about best receiver available at this point, which I believe is Jahan Dotson.
Right.
But ultimately, I just don't think that Jahan Dotson fits what they're trying to do in Kansas City, which is just run people up and down the field. And Christian Watson caught everybody's eye at the combine, just stole the show, and would be a really attractive piece in this offense. Again, somebody who can get downfield and help guys like Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster continue to work the underneath routes. So I think Christian Watson is that guy that they might need.
Yeah. And I think if he does go to the Chiefs, he will get overdrafted in fantasy football. We've seen this before with the Kansas City Chiefs. Everyone from the Chiefs gets overdrafted. So either way, I think good analysis with it. He fits their scheme, Mac. Mm-hmm. Next, with the Cincinnati Bengals, we have them going Daxton Hill.
We do. Yeah, they need a corner desperately. Dax Hill is probably the best available secondary defender that's left on the board, and they could definitely use him. So Daxton Hill. And lastly, Jahan Dotson to the Detroit Lions. Again, there's a possibility here they make a splash at quarterback with a Sam Howell, a Desmond Ridder, a Matt Corral. We don't know. But again, if they don't like anybody enough at 2, there's probably a reason they don't at 32 as well. So we've got Jahan Dotson joining the team. Gives them a little bit more depth. They picked up DJ Chark in the offseason. They've got Amon-Ra St. Brown prime for a year 2 breakout, a true breakout, not just a 4-week sample size, but getting somebody else that can help. A little bit of depth. Jahan Dotson, really sure-handed, solid receiver, fits this system a little bit better than Kansas City. So I think him in Detroit makes a lot more sense than in Kansas City.
Keep an eye out I'm expecting some trades into the back half of the first round. Not a lot of these teams need a quarterback, but if you take a quarterback in the first round, you get that 5th-year option. So even if a team mildly likes a Matt Corral, a Sam Howell, it's worth it for them to take a risk, jump into the back half of the first round, and take one of these quarterbacks just to get that extra year of rookie low value. You're not paying him a big salary, and it makes a huge difference for some of these teams.
Huge. Mike saying that having Williams as a field stretcher and Adams as an elite target would help him break out. I do agree. Renfrow is a very solid route runner. We saw him make a ton for himself. I mean, he created a ton of yards for himself last year. Was a safety valve for this offense. I think having Devontae Adams there will only help Hunter Renfrow, but ultimately he's going to lose targets. There's just no other way around it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. So listen, hopefully you guys enjoyed that mock. I think this one's close. I really do. And the hard part about these mocks is, yeah, let's say the Lions do go off the board and they love Malik Willis and they just take him at 2. That throws the whole draft out of whack. Totally. You know, you've got the Panthers who were potentially sitting on somebody at 6. Now they've got, you know, a sense of urgency. They got to potentially move up to grab the guy they wanted, and things can spiral out of control. So you just never know how these will unfold. We did one with trades last year. It was tough. We don't typically do trades. Maybe we'll do one more with trades, but I think we're just going to treat it. If everybody stays as is, this is how it goes down. But we can certainly think about that.
Yeah. If you're still watching this video and you want another video with trades, share this video around. The better this video does, the more likely we are to do another mock draft. So we're getting ready for the real one. Like this video, share it with your friends, join our Discord community, follow us on socials, snap_fantasy, interact with us on socials, and that's where we'll get you. We answer every single question. So if you have a comments, what you liked, what you didn't like, drop it in the comments down below. Or if you're listening on podcasts, rate and review the show. That is how to get the word around. That's how we do more content throughout the season and off season, really.
Heck yeah. we will be going live for the draft. So if you want to come hang out with us, awesome. Nice to see some new faces in here. Mike and Will, appreciate you. Good to see the regulars in here as well. Like Landon said, join that Discord. We'll send out our mock draft links there. We'll send out our show updates and schedules, and we'll get you guys a part of this as much as we can. Appreciate your feedback. Tons of fun. The hour went by super fast. Those of you on podcast, enjoy. And we'll see you guys most likely a week from now on Thursday night NFL draft. Can't wait to see how it all unfolds. See you guys. Have a good one.